Welcome everybody back to another episode of Non-Fungible News. As always, I am Tricky Boom, the host of the show. Before we get started today, if you could hit the like, subscribe to the channel, as we are bringing more and more content weekly, if not daily at times. But today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Zoccihedron, or Z, from Battle Mage V, and it's a very interesting project. You're not going to want to miss it. So Z, how are you doing today?
I'm awesome, man. It's today's it's a moment for me, for sure. Both emotional, just everything about it. Like I'm just charged with energy today because we currently launched a pre-sale launch today.
Today, the pre-sale with for the V Nerds holders was today at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. How is that going to this point?
Yeah, I think 10% of the people that were whitelisted, they've mentioned something. I mean, you can see it on VC of how many unique wallets they have. So I think it's like 16 or 17. So 10%, but it's early. It just started today. There's no the expiration is actually 2 weeks from now. So next weekend we do a public whitelist. That's filling up actually really fast now, and that's limited to 100 mints or 100 seats per se. So yeah, I mean, VNerd holders actually get 2 weeks to mint. So there's no rush. I'm not trying to do no FOMO type of like marketing activity. But yeah, it's been amazing, and the members that have actually minted, they've been amazing. Like I think the feedback I've gotten so far, it's been amazing. Amazing feedback.
Awesome, glad to hear it. I like your project. It's very interesting. So before we get into all that, because there's a lot to unpack here, give us a little background on you and, kind of what got you to today, to where you're at right now.
Okay. So like the origin story of Z, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay. So I used to trade crypto. I mean, I bought Doge back when it was like 0.0001 or something like that. And I made some money, but then the crash of 2008, I think it was 2018, that crash came around, so I lost some money, right? And then at that time I started looking at other cryptos to buy, and then me being from a technical background, which I'm sure a lot of people that got drew into that, is that I saw that this was a supply chain management solution crypto. So I looked more into it, looked into Sunny Liu and his team, background checks on them. And I really liked what I saw. So I bought a few bags of VET. Unfortunately, a lot of the bags I bought also was at like the high point, not long ago. So I'm like down 30%. But anyways, during that time, I think this was like during the COVID pandemic, I started looking into NFTs. So like literally probably more than, yeah, it was like a year ago from this day. I actually sat down with my girlfriend, which is our creative director, Kat Tigress. I sat down with her and I was like, hey, I want to create something really cool in the NFT space. I think I have the imagination for it. So let's think of something. So the original concept was I was going to create digital physical products, right? And this is before anyone was actually talking about what they quote digitals. Like they started using that, but I planned this out like a year ago. And then, but then I found out that making toys, like I have no experience there whatsoever. So we kept on hitting roadblocks. I kept hitting roadblocks with 3D animators. So then like that was really disheartening for me. So then I stopped it. So that was about 3 months into it, I stopped it altogether. And then I was rethinking my entire strategy on how do I get into NFTs? Like, what do I want to make? And then I think December came around. I started looking at other NFT projects within the VeChain space, and then I forgot what it was that dawned on me. But like what you see today is pretty much what came into my head in December. You know, like let's create these characters that are, you know, like it's my vMages, but like I want to pull in like things that I love. So like, you know, characters from movies, characters from cartoons, characters from video games. I actually enjoy those characters so much that I don't want to forget them. So why don't I incorporate them somehow into what I'm making here? And that sort of started all this, is that it's just my love for storytelling, my love for character development. You know, that's what drew me here pretty much. So luckily enough, you know, when I started creating it, this whole V-Nerds launch today, I mean, this was back in, I don't know, like January or like March, January, February. The first person I reached out to was Virtual Flame. I heard him on VeChain Thursdays, and I was like, hey, like I'm new to the space. I'm trying to create something. I'd like to just get to know you. And he actually gave me like 10 minutes of his time. And then I told him like, you know, like, well, I'm not ready to like launch or anything. I'm pretty far from that, but you know, I'd like to, when I come out with my meta paper, I'd love to share that with you. You know, and then fast forward when I got the meta paper out, that's when like he reached back out and he's like, can we do a collab? And I was like, for sure, you know, and then now we're here. So that's like literally the cliff notes of like how this V-Nerds pre-sale today got to this point. But yeah, I mean, Battle Mage V, very comprehensive. There's a lot to it. But I think once you start collecting and you start to see what I saw, it's going to be really hard for you not to keep thinking about it.
Yeah, it is very comprehensive. For anybody that has not read the white paper, read it. It will blow your mind. And, you know, on that note, I think a lot of people were kind of taken off guard or you know, I don't know what I'm looking for here. A lot of people were kind of taken back by seeing that white paper, and you were kind of pretty new to the space at the time, and people are like, okay, what's this guy got going? You know, this is a little bit crazy for our little community. And so people were kind of caught off guard by that, a little skeptical, I want to say, but I've seen you every single day since you came to the VFam. And so with what your project is, as extensive as it is, as big as it is, I know you talked a little bit about VeChain and the supply chain supply chain management and what they do, and it interested you. But as far as communities and available money, we'll just say, why VeChain?
Okay.
Your project.
So the thing is, I chose VeChain first, and then I started looking into the community, right? Because then I'm looking out for community leaders, marketplace leaders, people of influence, such as yourself, right? YouTube. I would say I got lucky with this community, because this community is actually probably the nicest community I've seen with crypto in general. You go to Ethereum spaces, it is cutthroat. It's severely cutthroat, right?
We don't
Solana, XRP, like there's some nice communities out there, but there's still a little bit of like edginess to those groups. You have to tiptoe lightly, especially if you're from the VeChain space, going into these spaces. And I've done that a lot, but I don't go in there to shill. I'm just in there to learn more about the people. So I chose VeChain because of the technology. Obviously, my BattleMage V is a utility driven, and when I say utility, there's gamifications. So I wanted to incorporate, how do you add value to the NFT itself? So I wanted to do story levels. So it's sort of like your gaming experience, whether you buy other types of NFT product lines that are coming out with this, whether you decide to vote, whether you decide to participate in a battle, that all contributes to your experience. And I need to log that to the blockchain. In order to do that, I have to pay gas fees. So I looked at it from a technical standpoint. I mean, I thought about this a long time ago. And then luckily for me, the community here is actually very, very nice. So that was just my luck. Now, I think the question you're alluding to is that, you mentioned the size of this community, and my tokenomics is 25,000 mints, and nobody does that. I'll let you know right now, there are some Ethereum projects backed by, I think, big corporate money where they have 25,000 mints. But the thing is, like, I'm thinking, I always think 2, 3 years down the line, not that it's going to take that long to mint this out, but the 25,000 is what I needed to get this to work correctly, because there's tons of rarity involved to complete these costume sets. Now, while I'm talking, Tricky, if you can actually give me like sharing screen privileges,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I can actually go through some of this too.
Let's see here.
And that way they don't have to like look at this name that's just hovering in front of like my voice.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
Good to go?
Yeah, good to go. So second screen. So you can probably see that now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, like I'm a 80s kid, right? I'm actually a 70s kid, but I'm an 80s kid, grew up in the 80s, love the 80s. I mean, for those of you who grew up in the 80s, you got to know that this is the Back to the Future costume.
We got Marty
Right.
McFly.
Yeah, Marty McFly, but this guy I think is I'm calling him like Matty McChicken or something, right? And they'll show up in the storyline as well. So you know, it's like the 25,000 tokens. I know when people look at that, people are probably thinking like, what is this guy trying to do? Like the further and like JT Crypto, one of the voices within the VFam space. He's the
Shout
first
out
one.
JT.
Yeah, shout out to JT. I was expecting him, like when I released the meta paper, I was expecting him to come back and be like, he was the person I was betting money on that he's gonna come back and question me, right? And I was like waiting for him. And he did. He comes out in the group chat that I actually added everyone. He's like, and he goes, I'm just going to share this with everyone for transparency, but what's up with your tokenomics? And then I came back with a very in-depth, comprehensive FAQs. But the simple answer is that, you know, 25,000 is not a lot. It might be a lot within our space because our community is small. But I didn't come into this community with the mindset that I was going to extract value from this community. I came into this community with the mindset that I was going to grow this community. So it's actually up to me. I mean, the community members are definitely going to be a big part of pushing this because that's more voices. But it's definitely going to be me as the NFT creator, the leader of this, you know, this NFT project to push for this marketing. So I have a very specific game plan and strategy, which is it's a 1, 2, 3 year game plan of how to grow not only Battle of Mage V, but myself as an NFT media and creation studio. So this NFT project is actually just a very small piece of my overall game plan. Yeah, I mean, why are the price points high? I mean, if you look at all the other chains, I mean, they start off at like, let's talk about fiat. They start off at like 400, 300, USD, the really well-made ones. And then, right after mint, they jump up to like 4,000 aftermarket. So again, like that's the reason why I'm doing the whitelist, why the whitelist is prolonged, and why I'm doing so many of them, because I want to make sure I cover all the VFam members that actually see this early. I want to cover them because once the cover is done and we go public, it jumps to 2,500. I mean, what was the last project that started off at 2,500? Like I know which one. I'm just not going to give a shout out to them, but it's like there's not too many projects that start off that high. So, the thing is, this is at the end of the day, this is a business. I'm sorry, like this should actually be animating through. So this is a business at the end of the day. If you don't have the right funds, if you don't have the right team behind you, this could be a dead project in like less than 6 months time. And I don't want that. So, like I see a lot of projects where they short sell themselves, and then I know they're going to start getting into like money issues. And then that's the problem you're running into. And by the way, I mean, what I have planned for you guys, there's tons of value for the community. It is a play and earn. So it's not play to earn, because play to earn to me is like you have to play in order to earn. You can play without having to buy anything else ever again. But if you want to pretty much speed up, let's say, the value of your vMage, then yeah, there's going to be definitely an earning aspect to that. So, we have a DAO. Obviously, 10% of our stuff is going to go straight into community funds. But if you looked at my white paper, I actually split that 4 ways. I split it to marketing, I split it to DevOps, I split it to my team like I have no access to these funds. These are strictly for my team, my community, for marketing and for DevOps, right? And now that VC's on board, they take 10%, right? Oh, I'm not sure if I was supposed to say that anyways. But the thing is, like, they get that portion of it, and then I'm left over the 50%, and it's not going to go buy a Lamborghini or something. I'm going to reinvest that to make sure that my community is covered. So, like, I just need to pay my bills and like buy groceries, and I'll be happy with that. And by the way, everything that I planned, just like I said, this NFT is a very small portion of my game plan. There's so much businesses you can actually evolve when you become an NFT creator. So that is pretty much like why it's been taking so long for me to actually think this entire thing through, because it's actually more than just this NFT. It's for my media studio.
So another interesting thing that I think it caught me off guard, just because it's not in the traditional way of launching an NFT. I mean, so your 25,000, your tokenomics was a little bit different, but what you were just saying a minute ago about, you're doing all these whitelists because you want to take care of this community first and foremost. You've also mentioned that you want to grow the community. I mean, who would in their right mind launch a project that doesn't want to grow the community? But we maybe don't see it as much or as frequently that you actually, I mean, you're not concerned about minting out right away. You've mentioned that you have a long-term plan, but you also have mentioned in the past that you're not looking to have people mint 10, 20, 30. You're not looking for whales in the community. I mean, and a lot of NFT creators maybe are looking for that, maybe aren't, but don't mention it. I mean, I'm sure it's flattering for somebody to have a whale with 100+ pieces in their wallet, but you've said it's not necessary. You've said that that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is, I mean, I think in a perfect world, you would have 25,000 different wallets holding your NFT versus 5,000 with 5 in each one of them.
I mean, that'll be wild if we can do that. But the thing is, like, I put mechanics in here so that I'm already getting that from the people that are already minted. They see the collection, the costumes. It makes them feel nostalgic, right? It brings that nostalgia of like, oh, I remember that movie. I remember that character. I love this so much. So I put the mechanics in place for the collector's bug to kick in. But I mean, it'd be wild if I can get 10,000, 15,000 people to play this D&D experience that I actually have planned. Again, this isn't a video game. For you guys, it's more like we give you storytelling through our comic books, through our graphic literature, through our animation. You pretty much watch or read what's going on, and then you participate with a few clicks of the button, right? Once you understand how this all works. And that's pretty much it. And the rest of your time, I want you to socialize. But yeah, if you look at my tokenomics, if you look at everything, I've set everything up in a way where if a flipper comes in, like those people that come in to flip for profit, if they see this, they run away. And that I made it this way on purpose. I don't want those people. I want collectors. What I'm looking for is collectors that see this value that my NFT brings. It brings them the value of like remembering their childhood, of watching these movies. But the thing is, I did put the utilities in place so that these do grow in value. Obviously, my tokenomics, I have a price tier. So all this whitelisting, all this giveaway, that supply is taken from the back end. And what I mean by that is that as we the price keeps going up, right? So I take that from the back end, which is the 5,000 per vMage. So if we ever get to the 20,000, which we will, to mint something random is going to cost 5,000 VeChain. And if the day comes where it's like vet hits like 25 cents, yeah, it's going to be like $1,250 to mint one of these things. And how do you justify all that? You better provide some really fun gaming mechanics that the community itself is going to really enjoy. And I want them to spend all their time socializing about it. not spending time in it, if you know what I mean.
And
And
so
that's
by
why,
the
like, when I
time,
see NFT games, I'm not too, it's not my cup of tea for NFT video games. I want everyone to enjoy, get rewarded by participating. And then I just want to see like all the data come through. And I want to burn VeChainThor. That's the biggest thing, is I want to start burning VeChainThor.
and so by the time we get to even 10, 15,000 mints, new people coming in are going to, this is going to be well established, I would assume, and people will see the value that you're talking about.
Yeah, I
And
mean, look, it's all speculative, right? But I see the snowball rolling already. Yeah, I mean, I think, look, let me look at my phone right now. Yeah, so more people minted in the next couple of weeks. Like, so the Veners holders, I mean, the Veners holders are showing up, great community, like loyal, right? They're the ones that starting the snowball effect. All right. And then the public mint, there's already like, it's already 75 people listed, and that's going to fill up really fast. They're going to be the second layer of snowballing. So by the time I get to the public, right, the public date, which is like May something, I already have a community of solid VFan members that are really engaged in what, like, they figured out how this all works and they're really engaged. And then that's when the storm is going to hit. So the strategy of rolling out the way I'm rolling out, like, there's just, it's sleepless nights of really thinking this through on how do I slowly roll things out. Because if I were to roll this out really fast, people would have bought stuff and they'd be like, and like, I need time too. I need time to create all the videos, to explain certain things. I haven't seen a project yet that actually created any kind of videos to really explain any mechanisms of their NFTs. I'm a very big presentations guy, and I don't necessarily hide anything either. It's more like I like to give surprises, so that's why I hold it in.
so when everything's out in full force, what's a day gonna look like for somebody that holds a Battle Mage V?
When everything that well, at least with everything I've planned for this first phase, that includes the joining, right? The joining of joining vMages so that you can upgrade whichever vMage that you want to upgrade. And I got to figure out the really simple mechanisms of doing that so that it's not difficult to upgrade things, right? Burning more feet though, by the way. We have, I mean, obviously there's another, I'll say, I mean, they're partners now. So VC is coming out with Thunderdome. Yeah, Battlemage V is going to come out with their own as well. But I'm like, pretty much like, I like to think outside the box. I like to do things differently. So I have a very different idea in mind when we start to do our own version of the Thunderdome versus what I think VC and Vikings is going to do. Right. So we have that in place. And then we have the nexus points. So I won't go too much into this portion, but you're pretty much like the vMage are going to come together to defend their world, right? So the perfect world of what they're buying into is that they're buying into a community that's really engaged in this. There's activities every weekend, right? You don't have to participate in all of them, but there's activities every weekend, whether it's a new release of a comic, whether they're battling it out to see who the baddest vMage is, whether they're defending the world. That's the world that I'm trying to get to, right? So everything's slowly getting there. When we go public mint, we're gonna have like our comics actually already ready, and I'll actually showcase to you sketches because my creative director is very picky about releasing any kind of visuals. So I asked her if I can just show the sketches of our comic, right? And she says that's fine because the sketches are just sketches. They don't really show you what these things look like. But these are, to start off, 3-page comics. Is to really build up the storytelling. Our graphic literature, that's also already in the works too. Chapter 1's already done. So again, like by the time I get to public, I already have these products set up, ready to go. Can't wait for the ambassador gifts. So the ambassador gifts are leaders within the space that I've actually pinpointed that'll believe in me essentially, and gave me your guys' trust to sort of like do giveaways on my behalf. That ambassador gift is going to be amazing. And unfortunately, I have to push the dates back a little bit more because I am really keen on quality. And like the characters were all built out, but I wasn't happy with them. So I was like, we got to redo these. you know, and then, like all this takes time and money too. So just to let you know, like, yeah, I've been investing into my own projects here since December. I'm full time on this, full time. Like this is all I do. I'm not taking in contract jobs for programming or anything like that. I've been focused on this for like an entire year. I'm sorry, I don't think I even answered your question.
Um, yeah, I think,
Yeah, here, let me just walk you through. So, you know, like this is the first one that's going to come out. This is a sketch. So it's called You Have My Claw and My Bark, you know? And trust me, the final product, which is already done, it looks amazing. It looks like a manga comic, which is a Japanese form of comic books, you know, and like, you know, they're all like, you know, this is pretty much the scene of the Senate, and the Senate's fighting to figure out, you know, what the story is. And I'm not going to tell you what the story is. I want to wait till the actual comic comes out May 14th, I believe, or 21st, when we go public, man. And this will all come out. And they will be sold as NFTs, right? For a very affordable price, because I want everyone to sort of buy into it as well as support us. I'll make an announcement of which marketplace these will be on, because this is where I said I'll work with all the marketplaces. VC, World of V, Black V Market, they're all within my game plan to work with in some fashion or another. But yeah, this is the sketch, you know? So they're going to start off 3 pages. I'm excited for you guys to essentially, you know, start to read these. And you don't have to buy them if you don't want to. You can just pretty much download them and then, you know, have it on your phone and just read through it too. As long as you guys tweet these out, that's all I think I care about at the end of the day.
so how do the comics play in with our characters that we mint?
Okay, so I mean that's pretty much still I wouldn't say up in the air, but definitely within the game plans, right? So I was working on a video called the roadmap, and you know, it's so funny. I work on a video and I'm trying to make it 5 minutes, and I realize I'm going overboard with explanations and it turns into 30 minutes, and that takes me like 4 hours to make.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just talk about the experience. So we launch on May 14th or 21st. I forgot which one it is, the public mint date. We come up with we already have 8 comics lined up. We already have 8 graphic literature chapters lined up, and they get released every week, and we'll figure out what that looks like. What's happening is that this is going to pretty much tell you, like, it's going to take you on this journey, the story that's going to reach a nexus point, right? Then the first nexus point that we're going to do, that's going to actually, I mean, it's going to be free to participate for sure, but we're going to release an NFT. And if you buy the NFT, obviously your story levels get bumped up, and, you know, there might be extra perks with that, but you pretty much get to the next point where you defend our world. That will give our community pretty much the experience of what to expect moving forward, because it's going to get a little nuttier from there. But then that's going to affect the storyline of what happens at that nexus point. And then throughout the, you know, after that, as we start to see who's leveling up in the story levels, those are the people that we're going to pull in to our comics as like a cameo appearance, right?
Okay.
And if you even like complete a set, I mean, there's so many ways of rewarding people. There's so many ways. You see it all the time with other projects right now. If anyone were to like literally, once the joining happens and you pretty much get the full costume, got to do an airdrop on something unique and special for that, right? So every 50 costumes is going to need pretty much like not necessarily a one-on-one, but if you complete that costume, you're going to get an airdrop of that particular character, right? Representing that character from whatever movie, cartoon, or literature that I read from it. So there's so many different ways of rewarding the community. So you just make it fun, and just everyone that are into games and anime and cartoons and all that, like that's, you know, part of the rewarding feeling of this is that you get to remember those characters. And I think that's what's missing with a lot of NFTs that I see, is that the storytelling is not quite there, and they don't really tie in pop culture with what they have. I mean, they tie it in from like, oh, that looks like the dude from you know, the Big Lebowski, and it looks like it, but where's the storytelling, right? It's the story that really brings us together. So
Can you go into a little more detail on completing the costume?
sure. So I think I had a video on this. I'm not going to play the video though, because that usually comes out really bad. All right. So people have been asking about this, the ones that minted so far, right? So if you look on the screen, you see pretty much the 50 costumes that are there. Now, these costumes, there's no mint in the 25,000 randoms that you're gonna mint. There's not one that actually has a complete full costume. The chance of that happening is like 1 out of 242 billion. It's crazier than the lottery, okay? And when I when I pre-generated all those with a true random roll, and when people say random, like true random, what they're saying is that it's randomized. But when I say true random, what I'm saying is that it's truly random. I use the software that pretty much manages the lotteries to figure out these numbers that come up, so that it's truly random. There's not like a pattern that comes out of it. So I use that to generate these, and then to complete a set, what happens is that this set is actually 6 different traits within the 12 traits that this NFT has. Even with the NFT traits, I went far and beyond. I don't think there's right now there's another NFT that has as many traits as I do. I think the furthest I've seen was like 10, maybe 11, but mine has 12. So over 240 billion unique combinations unique if I were to try to make all that, which will blow up my computer. So, how this works is that from top to bottom here on this website, this is the easiest trait to get, these traits or these attributes of the trait, the head, the item, the arms, body, feet, weapons. This is the easiest to get. So if you actually hover over it, you see E for everywhere. That's right there hovering. It says E for everywhere.
Yeah.
That means you see them everywhere, meaning it's not that rare. But then as we start to go down, right, to let's just go to the furthest, and for those of you that are Final Fantasy fans, that's what this costume is all about. This is an S tier costume, special costume. Each of these pieces is 1 out of 1,000 to get each of these pieces, right? So, I mean, I already see like these hardcore collectors that love these characters. The aftermarket might go a little bonkers, especially when they know it's 1 out of 1,000 to get one of these, right? What is a collector willing to pay to complete their set? But mind you, if you complete this set, there's going to be bonus modifiers to your fighting, to your defending, to your voting. There's bonus modifiers to that. So that's where all the value comes in, is that I've really thought about gamifying these NFTs. Each of these NFTs will be worth something, at least from experiencing all the battling and the defending and what I have planned, they have value. And then if you decide to sell it off to somebody else, then they could enjoy being a badass, right? So hopefully that answers your question.
Oh yeah, it does. So looking at mine right now.
Okay.
He's the aura is Will.
Which is green, like the Green Lantern.
Yep. The body, silver robe.
Yep. Here, I'm gonna go out there. It must be on VC right here. So I'm on the VC pit webpage, right?
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So let's just try to look for yours. Do you know your number?
100898.
898. Is this in 898? Oh, here. 898. There it is, right here.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm gonna go into the attributes. Yeah, so your aura is Will. I think that's an uncommon trait. I'm going off of memory here because there's too many to remember.
Mm-hmm.
Silver robe, I think that's the silver robe. I think that's the white mage. So this is actually a white mage. So here's another thing about the costume is that we have 5 different classes of mages, right? We have the black mage, the white mage, tech mage, time mage, and chaos mage. Each of those different classes have their own sets of costumes. That's why I also needed to explain. So the costumes don't overlap with the other mages. So as soon as I see silver robe, I already know this is a white mage. You also have the silver greaves. So if you look at the DNA right here, you'll see these little numbers, right? Those are the costume set numbers. So I see 12, I see 12 here, I see 12 here. So you've already, I mean, since this is a very less rare type of traits that or attributes that you got, it's easier to get these combinations where you already have three of the six attributes to actually complete a set. These are easier to complete because there's a lot of them. And that, like I said earlier, if you go back to my website, you get to like that Final Fantasy stage, those are really hard to complete because each of those pieces are 1 out of 1,000.
Okay, so rarity score 179. What is that one based off of? I mean, what's the lowest, what's the highest?
Yeah, so the lowest I think is like around 80. And it's really rare to see an 80 because like you gotta roll for you gotta literally have low rolls all across the board, all 12 dices. Because you see it right here, it says D100, right? So these are all the little dice rolls that happen to make this character.
Okay.
So yeah, 80 is pretty much on the lower end. I think it's 80. I forgot because I was looking for my ranges. It's on my database. The highest is like around 60,000. So if you go in, like pretty much you got to be rolling 100. If you were to get lucky, you would have to roll 100 on all of these. And even when you roll 100, there are other character or costume or attribute traits that are 100. You roll 100 to get. So it gets really complicated. I think in the future I have to create like some sort of tree branch to show you how this all partitions out. That visually it might make more sense if I created something like that for the community. But yeah, 179, that's like pretty average. I think within under 300 is pretty average. And then once you go above that, then you're dabbling into like more of the uncommon trait, like the uncommon community, like the uncommon tier. Because like there's different tiers. There's E for everywhere, C for common, U for uncommon, R for rare, and S for special. There's 5 different layers. So
is that rarity score as I collect more of the costume, will that rarity score itself change? Will this
of course, are you talking about when you join?
Yep.
Of course, because that rarity score is based off of what's part of your DNA, what's the DNA of that NFT, meaning what are the traits. So when you join, you're pretty much like, the hardest part of the joining really is like, how do I make it simple so that maybe you want to join, like maybe this NFT has 2 of the traits that you want, right? And then I have to move those 2 traits over to this NFT, right?
Okay.
So it's like, I got to make it really easy. I'm not trying to make it where it's so difficult to do. If you have 3 traits on one and 3 traits on the other, and you just join them, you just end up paying a little bit more VeTho. That's the transaction I'm gonna impose on people. Just pay a little bit more VeTho, meaning like a few more cents to actually join them. And then of course it's going to have to recalculate all that, and your rarity score is going to change, as well as like the whole attributes detail that you see here.
So I know that this has been said for some other projects, but say, because this is probably one that I'm not gonna list for sale ever, because I think it's a cool project and there's no reason for it to get listed or sell or
Thank you.
leave my wallet. But so say, all 25,000 mint out, and I have one that I haven't joined with anything else or anything. Is that going to add value to these NFTs if they're just left alone?
So here's the thing. I actually said early on, you only need one. You only need one to participate.
Yep.
You only need one, right? You never have to buy any of my the other NFT product lines around BattleMage V, because I still want you to participate. And as long as you participate in the battles, which like I'm trying to make it so that we incur the cost of the VeTho, because it doesn't cost that much right now. So you just need to participate. I like voting. Like I want you to vote, right? As you do those kind of like participation, your story levels will actually grow.
Oh.
So it actually grows in value. You don't need to join. It's just for the nutty collectors or the power players or like the OCD type people that are probably going to want to hunt for all these other attributes that they want. I know there's going to be somebody that shows up and they're probably going to drop God knows what, right? $10,000 USD, to like combine all these. But the thing is, if he does that, it's going to come with a lot of perks. But here's the cool thing. When we actually get to the battling part, like the PvP part, right? It's all based off of a roll of a 100-sided die. So you can have a vMage that hasn't really done much and they're not really strong, still beat a really strong vMage because you still got to roll that die. That guy can the strong guy can still roll a 1 and you can roll like a 75 and win, right?
Okay.
Now across averages, the stronger guy should win over time. But if I ever see like a really low ranked vMage beat a really high vMage, I'm gonna be tweeting that. You know, I'm gonna be tweeting that and like beefing up like this like this little guy vMage literally swapped the floor with this big guy that's been winning all this time. So that's the fun part of the PvP that I have planned, is that D100 die rolling that you can roll a 1. Doesn't matter if you're strong. You're gonna fail miserably at that battle.
Okay. This is, as you said early on in the interview, this is extremely comprehensive, and you're seeing that in just the detail on the attributes on here, which is and you're explaining it all. There's not really any
No, there's nothing that I'm
nothing
making up
hidden or.
on the spot. Like this is serious. Now the again, the trickiest part is what is the collector's experience to do all this? It cannot be complicated. It needs to be very simple. So my game mechanics guy, like all the bonuses that you get from these attributes, I told them the top that you can get just from the sets of attributes is plus 50. So if you roll the 100-sided die, you roll a 25, you add 50 on top of it if you got the baddest vMage in the world, right? So it gives you 75 as your score. But then like you can come in with this vMage that you haven't done anything with, and you can roll 100 and win that battle, right? So for pretty much, I'm trying to make every experience very simple for the collector. It should not be hard, and to explain it to them, it shouldn't be hard either. And that's the hardest part to do, is to create something simple. But when you look at the mechanics and the design behind it, it's very complicated. It's almost like a video game. You don't know the programming that went into it, all the crazy math that went into it. But when you play it, it's pretty straightforward. So that's the goal that we're trying to do here with Battle Mage V.
Well, it's I'm excited for it. I think it's really cool. We just have a couple of minutes left for this one. We're absolutely going to have to sit down again for some more info as these things progress.
For
But
sure.
you have any other I don't know, sneak peeks or juicy info, as some like to say, something, just
I guess I should have saved the sketch for last, huh? I got to be really careful with this because again, my creative director, she gets on me when I do release things. Juicy info. I mean, look, I think at the end of the day, I know I can picture in my head. I envision it. It's already in my like I vision it already. Like it's in my head. I know how this is going to play out. And I know like I can already see the community members even right now they're just talking about the NFT. They're not talking about the activities that happen. That's the key thing. Once I have this community that has this activity that people talk about and they laugh about, and I beat you, you beat me, or we defended, or I flopped here. Once that actually starts to happen, the 25,000, minting out the 25,000 is going to be a no-brainer for everyone else on the other chains that I'm going to go to. So I wouldn't say it's juicy, but my belief in what I've planned out and designed, it's going to come to fruition. And I'm just excited now that it's finally come up. People can finally get the vMage because they need to see something visual to really talk about. And that's what happened. They meant it, they see it visually. And some of them actually said it. They're like, like I saw it. But then once I downloaded the full res version from the IPFS servers of the NFT, they're like, man, it actually draws you in. And I'm like, I know. It's like when you first glance, you're just like, okay, what is this bizarre thing? But once you start looking at it, there's a lot of details to this, 12 different traits. They all mean something. I mean, besides the gloves and shoes, even the shoes mean something. They all mean something. So that's pretty much the biggest thing, is that once you start minting, try to figure out what you have. like honestly figure it out because they're from movies and stuff. Everything has like a little Easter egg in there. That's why it took me so long to make these guys.
Well, they're pretty cool. I would encourage anybody watching that has not minted, if the V-Nerds pre-sale will still be going on when this is getting put up. And then with the next whitelist and the next, and then the public sale. So anyway, that's all we got time for today, but I look forward to sitting down again and checking in, well, probably sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be talking, but let's look to check in during around the public, and I will have another surprise for the not only the VeChain community but the whole crypto space. I'll have a surprise.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to it.
All right. Well, Tricky Boom, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, guys, I appreciate the support. This is going to be really fun. We're gonna me and my team is gonna bring it. We're gonna bring it. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening, my friend.
Hot dogs, dude. Hot dogs.
Hot dogs all the way. All right. Talk to you later.
All right. Thanks. Bye.